In the shadowy depths of the Under-Empire, a labyrinthine network of tunnels twisted beneath the world, home to the Skaven sneaky, malevolent Tratman driven by a hunger for power and survival. Among these dark passages, a whispered legend spoke of a hidden route leading to the Silent Isle, a land said to harbor ancient artifacts and forgotten secrets. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the Silent Isle, the High Elf garrison stood vigilant atop the ancient stone walls of their fortified bastion. With keen eyes, the sentinels surveyed the misty coastline, their senses heightened by the whispers of the wind. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the air, a sound like the scuttling of 1,000 legs. Emerging from the dark maw of the secret tunnels, the Skaven army spilled forth, a writhing mass of fur and teeth. Their numbers were overwhelming, a tide of malevolent energy fueled by the promise of conquest. The Skaven win the roll-off and take first turn. The entire Skaven batline edges forward slightly, and the catapult misses its mark. In response, the dragon, phoenix and swordmasters move up to meet the Skaven head-on. The archers behind the dragon picked off a few clan rats. The other unit of archers' shots fell short of their target. Finally, the bolt thrower shot bounced harmlessly off the rat ogre's thick hide. Careful not to move into charge range of the High Elf monsters, the Skaven held position with the exception of the Helpit, who moved up to threaten the Phoenix and Swordmaster's next turn. This time the catapult struck the prince and the dragon, but it failed to cause any damage. The Swordmasters marched around the building, inviting the Helpit to charge them, whilst the Phoenix used them as a buffer so it couldn't get charged. The dragon held its position, as I didn't fancy its chances against most of the Skaven army unsupported. Both units of archers and the bolt thrower picked up a few more clan rats. The Helpit then charged the Swordmasters and a brutal combat ensued. The elves struck first, wounding the beast 4 times, but 2 of them were regenerated. In reply, the Helpit squashed 4 elves. Once again, the rest of the Skaven army held its position, and the catapult misfired and was unable to fire this turn or the next. In a dramatic scene, the Warlock Engineer channels their arcane energy, summoning a swirling tempest of icy magic. As the spell takes shape, the air crackles with frost, and a brilliant blue light emanates from their hands. Launching a concentrated projectile of frozen energy, it streaks through the air, leaving a trail of frost in its wake, aimed directly at the Phoenix. The Phoenix takes 3 wounds and is pushed back. The game is slowly turning in the Skaven's favor. The time for posturing was over now, it was time for action. The Phoenix flew forward into position to charge next turn, and the dragon moved to engage the Helpit when it finished off the Swordmasters. Once again, the archers and bolt thrower opened fire, felling a couple of clan rats and storm vermin respectively. In the Skaven turn, the warlord and his storm vermin move up and wheel to the right a little. The catapult is unable to fire, and the warlock's attempt to cast wind blast again is dispelled. In the combat phase, the Swordmasters lose combat, trading 2 wounds for 5 elves, and the last remaining elf breaks and flees. the Hellpit pursues and crashes into the prince and his dragon. The phoenix, sensing the encroaching threat, let out a piercing cry that echoed through the crags. It swooped down with incredible speed, icy winds trailing in its wake. The phoenix landed amidst the clan rats, its presence a radiant beacon of frost and flame. With a flick of its tail, it unleashed a chilling blast, felling 2 of the vermin. Both the clan rats and the warlock engineer failed to harm the phoenix. Meanwhile, the archers and bolt thrower continued to rain arrows down on the clan rats on the Skaven left flank, reducing them to 12 models. The dragon, caught off guard, was unable to avoid the Hellpit's brutal charge. But the prince steadied his mount, and with one strike the prince plunged his sword deep into the Hellpit. Simultaneously the dragon tore into the beast with its razor-sharp teeth and claws. The Hellpit wailed in a sound of defeat and rage before he fell to the ground, lifeless. With a sudden burst, the warlord signaled the charge into the phoenix. The storm vermin rushed forward, their battle cries mingling with the wind. The clan rats and rat ogres continued their advance up the Skaven left flank. In the combat phase, the Skaven warlord swiftly dispatches the phoenix with his fell blade. In the command phase, the last swordmaster fails to rally and flees the table, putting the Skaven firmly in the lead. In a dramatic clash, the prince makes a fierce charge against the Skaven warlord and his bodyguard. The elven archers stood in disciplined ranks, their eyes sharp and focused. With a quick signal, they released a volley of arrows that sliced through the air, aimed directly at the mass of clan rats below. Both units of clan rats had taken significant damage, however both passed leadership tests. As the prince closes the distance, he draws his sword, its blade gleaming ominously in the dim light. The dragon's roar echoes across the battlefield as the prince prepares to strike. As the battle raged around him, the prince felt a surge of purpose. He fought not just for glory, but to inspire his troops, to show them that even in the face of overwhelming odds, bravery could turn the tide. With a mighty, powerful blow, he dispatched multiple storm vermin. The dragon tore into the storm verminous well, ripping apart several more of the vermin. The Skaven failed to harm the prince and his dragon, and under such a ferocious assault are forced to take a leadership test. The die are cast and the roll is too high. The warlord and his storm vermin break and flee. The prince and his dragon pursues, catches and destroys them. That final tip of the scales on the last turn secures a very narrow victory to the High Elves.